The SOS that unleashed the unstoppable Deathworlder war fleet. The buzzing of the alarm woke Captain Eric Mason from his sleep. He sat up quickly in his small cabin aboard the deep space research vessel Horizon. The blue emergency light flashed, in rhythm with the alarm. "Computer, what's happening?" he asked, already pulling on his uniform. "Priority message from the bridge. Communications Officer Wright requests your immediate presence," the artificial voice replied. Mason ran his hand through his short brown hair and hurried out the door. The metal corridors of the Horizon were cold and quiet at this hour, with most of the 120-person crew asleep. As he entered the elevator, Mason checked his watch. 0347 hours. Nothing good ever happened at this time. The bridge doors slid open, and Mason saw Samantha Wright hunched over her communications station. Her normally neat blonde hair was messy, as if she had been running her fingers through it in stress. 3 other night shift crew members watched her with worried expressions. "Captain on the bridge," announced the tactical officer, Tim Russell, a stocky man with dark skin and sharp eyes. "What do we have, Lieutenant Wright?" Mason asked, walking directly to her station. Samantha looked up, her face pale. "Sir, we're receiving a distress signal from Arcturus 4. The colony is under attack." Mason's stomach tightened. Arcturus 4 was humanity's first attempt at a real colony beyond the solar system. Over 2,000 people lived there now, including families with children. "Put it on speaker," he ordered. Static filled the bridge, then a panicked voice broke through. "Unknown ships in orbit. Weapons we can't. Civilians being taken. Request immediate assistance. They're not responding to. Oh God, they're breaking through the message cut off abruptly. "That's all we got, sir," Samantha said quietly. "It repeats every 90 seconds. Mason turned to the navigation officer. "How far are we from Arcturus 4? "At maximum speed, 26 hours, sir," replied Officer Judy Clark, her fingers already plotting the course. "And the nearest military vessel?" Tim Russell checked his console. "The destroyer Liberty is in the Proxima system. They're at least 4 days out." Mason took a deep breath. The Horizon was a research vessel, not a warship. They had standard defensive capabilities, a pair of railguns, some point defense lasers, and a small complement of missiles, but nothing that could face a serious threat. Yet they were the only help within reach. "Alert Earth Command about the situation. Wake all senior staff and have them report to the briefing room in 15 minutes. Set course for Arcturus 4, maximum speed." Mason's voice was calm, but his mind raced through the implications. Humanity had made contact with the wider galactic community only 5 years ago. The aliens, a coalition calling themselves the Galactic Council, had seemed wary but peaceful. They had classified Earth as a Class 12 death world and humans as Deathworlders, whatever that meant. Contact had been limited to occasional diplomatic exchanges, and now this. In the briefing room, Mason faced his senior staff, Chief Engineer Andy Parker, a gray-haired veteran of the space program, Medical Officer Diane Baker, whose sharp intelligence was matched only by her compassion, Security Chief Paul Grant, a former Marine with a perpetual frown, and the bridge officers who had received the distress call. "The situation is this," Mason began. "Arcturus 4 is under attack by unknown forces. We are the only vessel close enough to respond in time. I know we're not a military ship, but those are our people out there." "Do we know who's attacking them?" asked Paul Grant. "Negative. The message didn't identify the attackers." "Could it be pirates?" suggested Andy Parker. "There have been rumors of outlaws operating in unpatrolled systems." Mason shook his head. "Pirates don't typically have the firepower to attack a colony with defensive capabilities." "The message mentioned people being taken," Diane Baker said quietly. "Why would anyone want to capture humans?" No one had an answer to that. "Whatever. Their reasons," Mason continued. "Our mission is clear. We go in, assess the situation, rescue any survivors, and provide what assistance we can. The Liberty is on its way, but we'll be on our own for at least 3 days." "The Horizon isn't built for combat, sir," Tim Russell pointed out. "No, it's not. But we're not going in guns blazing. Our priority is the colonists. For the next 26, Hours, the Horizon raced toward Arcturus IV. The crew prepared for every scenario they could imagine. The small security team of 12 officers checked their weapons and ran drills. The medical bay was readied for casualties. Engineer Parker worked to boost their shields by diverting power from non-essential systems. Mason barely slept. When the Horizon finally dropped out of faster-than-light travel near Arcturus IV, he was on the bridge, watching as the planet came into view on the main screen. "Scan for ships in orbit," he ordered. Tim Russell worked his console. "No vessels detected." "Sir, wait. I'm picking up debris in high orbit. Could be the remains of ships." "Life signs on the surface?" Samantha Wright, now scanning for communications and life signs, frowned at her readings. "Scattered life signs around the main colony site, sir. Population count is far below expected numbers. I'm detecting approximately 300 signals, where there should be over 2,000. A heavy silence fell over the bridge. "Any response to our hails?" "Negative, sir. But I'm picking up an automated beacon from the colony's administrative building. It's a standard survival protocol. Indicates there are people alive inside." Mason stood. "Then that's where we start. Mr. Russell, continue scanning for any signs of hostile forces. Ms. Clark, put us in low orbit over the colony site. I'll lead. A ground team. Dr. Baker, Chief Grant, you're with me. We need medical and security personnel." As the Horizon moved into position, Mason looked at the planet below. From orbit, Arcturus IV looked peaceful. Blue oceans, green and brown land masses, white clouds swirling in its atmosphere. It looked like a place of hope, a new beginning for humanity among the stars. Now it might become the start of something very different. The shuttle descended through the atmosphere, carrying Mason and 11 crew members toward the colony. Through the viewport, they got their first look at the damage. Many buildings were destroyed, with others showing signs of weapons fire. The central plaza, once the heart of the colony, was littered with abandoned vehicles and scattered personal belongings. "No bodies," noted Paul Grant as they flew over. "Why are there no bodies?" The shuttle landed near the administrative building, a 5-story structure that appeared mostly intact. Mason led his team out, weapons ready, moving cautiously across the empty plaza. Inside the building, they found barricaded doors and signs of a last stand. Following the signal from the beacon, they reached a reinforced door to an emergency shelter. "This is Captain Eric Mason of the research vessel Horizon," he called through the communication panel. "We're responding to your distress call." After a moment of silence, a tired voice replied, "Can you prove you're human?" Mason wasn't prepared for that question. We received your SOS. We came to help. The things that attacked us could mimic human voices," Mason thought quickly. "The first Earth colony ship to land here was the Endeavor. Its captain was Lily Rodriguez. The colony governor is Greg Harmon. Is that enough?" The door unlocked with a heavy clank. It swung open to reveal 30 haggard survivors led by a man Mason recognized as Governor Harmon, though he looked years older than the last time Mason had seen him. "Captain," Harmon said, his voice hoarse. "You shouldn't have. Come, they'll be back. They always come back for more." The SOS that unleashed the unstoppable Deathworlder Warfleet captain. Mason stared at Governor Harmon in the dim light of the emergency shelter. The governor's face was thin and covered with several days' growth of beard. His eyes darted nervously toward the door. "Who are they, Governor?" Mason asked, keeping his voice calm. "Who attacked the colony?" Harmon gestured for them to come inside. The security team remained alert as they entered, weapons ready. Inside, Mason saw the 30 survivors, men, women, and a few children. All looked exhausted and afraid. "We call them the Zivari," Harmon explained once the door was sealed again. "That's what they called themselves in their first message before they started firing on us." Dr. Baker immediately began checking the survivors, many of whom had minor injuries. One woman had a badly bandaged arm. "This needs proper treatment," Baker said, opening her medical kit. "Tell me everything," Mason said to Harmon as they moved to a small table in the corner of the room. Harmon ran a shaking hand through his dirty hair. "They came 5 days ago, 3 ships, bigger than anything I've seen before. At first, they just watched us, sent messages asking about human biology, our planet of origin. We answered carefully, following first contact protocols. Then what happened? They became very interested when we mentioned Earth, kept asking about its gravity, atmosphere, predator species. When we told them Earth's specifications, they became excited, called us Deathworlders. The next day they attacked. Lieutenant Russell stepped forward. What were their weapons like? Energy-based. Powerful, but not as accurate as ours. But they had more of them, and their ships had some kind of shield technology. Our defense systems barely scratched them. Mason frowned. And the colony population? Harmon's eyes dropped to the floor. They took most of them. Dropped some kind of gas that knocked people out, then sent down transport ships. They loaded unconscious colonists by the hundreds. Said humans were valuable specimens because we come from a Class 12 death world, whatever that means. Why didn't they take everyone? Asked Paul Grant. They said they would come back for more. Something about a larger collection vessel arriving. Harmon looked up at Mason. Captain, you need to get word to Earth. These aliens, they don't see us as equals. We're just interesting animals to them. Mason nodded grimly. Lieutenant Wright, send a full report to Earth Command. Include everything the governor has told us. Samantha Wright stepped away to transmit the message while Mason continued questioning Harmon about the attack. Back on the horizon, Officer Judy Clark monitored the planet's orbit from the bridge. Something on her scanner caught her attention. Bridge to Captain Mason, she called over the comm. Mason here. Sir, I'm detecting 3 ships entering the system. Configuration matches the governor's description of the Zavari vessels. Mason exchanged looks with his team. We're coming back. Have the shuttle prepped for immediate departure. And Judy, keep the horizon powered down. Let's not attract attention until we know what we're dealing with. The ground team quickly organized the evacuation of the survivors. Within 20 minutes, they were aboard the shuttle and heading back to the horizon. As they approached their ship, they could see the 3 alien vessels moving into orbit around Arcturus 4. They're scanning the surface, reported the shuttle. Pilot, dock quickly and quietly, Mason ordered. We need to be ready for whatever comes next. Once back on the horizon, Mason rushed to the bridge. The main screen showed the 3 Zavari ships, sleek silver vessels with curved hulls that reminded Mason of deep-sea predators. They haven't detected us yet, Clark reported. We're in the planet's shadow, running minimal power. Options? Mason asked, looking at his senior staff. Tim Russell spoke first. We're outgunned, sir. Those ships are military vessels. We could try to outrun them, get back to Earth space, and leave the rest of the colonists who might still be alive on So. Those ships? Dr. Baker asked sharply. Paul Grant shook his head. Even if we wanted to help, what could we do? The horizon isn't built for combat. Mason stared at the alien ships on the screen. Earth protocol was clear. Avoid engagement, preserve human life, report back. But those ships held captured humans. People from the colony. Governor, Mason said, turning to Harmon, who had joined them on the bridge. You said their weapons were powerful but not accurate. Yes, they have trouble hitting moving targets. Their tracking system seems slow compared to ours. Mason thought for a moment. And they seemed interested in humans as specimens, not in killing us all? Harmon nodded. They want to study us. Something about our physiology being unusual because we evolved on a high-gravity, high-danger world. A plan began to form in Mason's mind. Mr. Parker, how quickly can you divert power from non-essential systems to our shields and weapons? The chief engineer raised his eyebrows. An hour, maybe less. But Captain, even with everything diverted, we're still no match for 3 military vessels. We don't need to match them. We just need to surprise them. Mason turned to Tim Russell. Lieutenant, how good are our targeting systems? Best in the fleet, sir. We can hit a satellite-sized object at 500,000 kilometers. And our railguns? Can we focus them on precise areas of a ship? Russell nodded slowly, beginning to understand. If we know where to aim, yes. Mason smiled grimly. Governor, did you notice any vulnerable areas on their ships during the attack? Their engines, Harmon said immediately. When our defense systems did manage a hit near their propulsion area, they seemed to respond defensively. Pulled back, adjusted their shields. Mason turned to the tactical display. Then that's our target. We'll hit their engines hard and fast. If we can cripple their propulsion, we might be able to capture one of the ships. Capture an alien vessel? Parker asked incredulously. Sir, that's never been done before. Then we'll be the first, Mason replied firmly. Begin preparations. I want to be ready in 30 minutes. As the crew hurried to their stations, Mason pulled up the comm. This is Captain Mason to all hands. I won't lie to you. We're about to attempt something dangerous. The Zavari have attacked our colony and taken our people. Earth fleet is days away. We are the only chance those captives have. He paused, watching the alien ships on the screen as they began systematically scanning the colony below. We are not a warship, but we are humans. And apparently, that means something out here among the stars. These aliens think we're specimens to be collected. I say we show them what happens when you cage something from a death world. Across the ship, the crew prepared for battle. Engineers rerouted power systems. The small security team distributed weapons. In the medical bay, Dr. Baker prepared for casualties. Governor Harmon stood beside Mason on the bridge. Captain, are you sure about this? You could escape, bring back reinforcements. Mason watched as one of the alien ships began lowering toward the colony site. By then, they'd be gone with more of our people. No, Governor. This ends now. He turned to Judy Clark. Bring us around the planet. Full power to engines on my mark. We'll come at them from behind the moon. As the horizon silently moved into position, Mason felt a strange calm settle over him. In all of human history, no one had ever fought an alien species before. Until 5 days ago, many still doubted intelligent alien life existed at all. Now humanity was about to engage in its first interstellar battle, and it would begin not with a massive warship or a trained military crew, but with a research vessel and a captain who refused to leave his people behind. Weapons ready, sir, reported Russell. Shields at maximum, added Parker. Mason took a deep breath. Let's introduce ourselves properly. Mark. The horizon burst from behind Arcturus's moon, engines flaring bright against the darkness of space, weapons already locked on the nearest Zavari ship. The first shots of humanity's war against the stars were about to be fired. The SOS that unleashed the unstoppable Deathworlder war fleet. The horizon shot out from behind the moon of Arcturus IV like a bullet. The 3 Zavari ships, busy scanning the colony below, did not react immediately. This gave Captain Mason and his crew the precious seconds they needed. Target locked on the nearest ship's engine section, Lieutenant Russell called out, his fingers flying over the tactical console. Fire, Mason ordered calmly. The horizon's twin railguns roared to life. Unlike energy weapons, the railguns fired physical projectiles at incredible speeds. The first shot struck the Zavari ship's engine section dead center. The second hit milliseconds later in nearly the same spot, punching through the weakened shields. The alien vessel shuddered visibly. Blue energy flickered around its hull as its shields tried to compensate. Direct hit, Russell reported with surprise in his voice. Their rear shields are down to 30% capacity. On the main screen, Mason could see the 3 Zavari ships finally responding to the attack. The 2 undamaged vessels began turning toward the horizon, while the hit ship was moving erratically. They're powering up weapons, Clark warned from her station. Evasive maneuvers, Mason commanded. Keep us moving. Remember what the governor said, they have trouble hitting moving targets. Chief Engineer Parker spoke up from his station. Sir, I'm detecting unusual energy readings from their weapons. They're different from anything I've seen before. Understood. Maintain current course but be ready to adjust. The space around the horizon lit up as the Zavari fired their energy weapons. Bright purple beams shot past the human ship as Clark expertly piloted the vessel in an unpredictable pattern. They missed, she reported with a slight smile. Their targeting systems are slow. Let's not give them time to adjust, Mason said. Target the same ship again, same location. The railguns fired once more, both shots striking the already damaged engine section of the first Zavari ship. This time, the impact was followed by a bright flash as something critical was hit. The alien vessel began drifting, its engines dark. "Their propulsion system is offline," Russell announced, "but they still have weapons and life support." The other two Zavari ships were now fully engaged, firing continuously at the horizon. Most shots missed, but one grazed the research vessels. "Starboard side. Shields holding at 80%, Parker reported. But we can't take many direct hits." Mason studied the tactical display. The disabled Zavari ship was now between the horizon and its two companions. An idea formed in his mind. "Ms. Clark, bring us around behind the disabled ship. Use it as cover." Clark nodded and adjusted their course. The horizon swung behind the drifting alien vessel, temporarily shielded from the weapons of the other two ships. "Now what, sir?" asked Russell. "Now we board it," Mason said firmly. The bridge crew looked at him in shock. "Board an alien vessel?" Security Chief Grant asked. "Sir, with all due respect, we have no idea what's inside that ship, or how many Zavari. What we do know is that ship likely has human captives on it," Mason replied. "And we need information about these aliens if Earth is going to defend itself." Mason turned to Governor Harmon. "You said they use some kind of gas to capture colonists. Do you think they'd use it on their own ships?" Harmon shook his head. "Unlikely. They wore no protective gear when they came down to the planet after using the gas. It's probably designed to work only on human physiology." "Good. Chief Grant, assemble a boarding team. 10 of your best people fully armed. I'll lead them myself." "Captain," Samantha Wright interrupted. "I'm receiving a transmission from the damaged Zavari ship. They're asking for mercy." Mason raised an eyebrow. "Put it on screen." The main view screen changed to show the interior of the alien vessel. The Zavari were humanoid but clearly not human. Their skin was pale blue with no hair. They had large dark eyes and slender bodies that looked fragile. The one in the center wore an elaborate collar around its neck. "Human vessel," the alien said, its voice surprisingly melodic despite the tension in it. "We surrender. Please cease fire. We are a scientific vessel, not a warship." Mason stepped forward. "I am Captain Eric Mason of the Earth vessel Horizon. You attacked our colony and took our people. Where are they?" The alien blinked slowly. "The specimens are in stasis, unharmed." Mason felt his anger rise at the word specimens, but kept his voice level. "Those specimens are sentient beings, citizens of Earth. You will return them immediately." The alien seemed confused. "But you are from a death world. Class 12. Your value as research subjects is not for you to decide," Mason cut in. "We're coming aboard your vessel to retrieve our people. If you resist, we will respond with force." The alien conferred briefly with others off-screen before turning back. "We accept. Our ship is disabled. We cannot stop you." Mason ended the transmission and turned to his crew. "They're too quick to surrender. It could be a trap. Chief Grant, make sure your team is prepared for anything." "Yes, sir," Grant replied, already heading off the bridge to prepare the boarding party. Mason addressed the remaining bridge crew. "Ms. Clark, keep the horizon in position, but be ready to move if those other ships try anything. Lieutenant Russell, keep our weapons locked on those ships. If they make any aggressive moves, disable them like we did the first one." "What about Earth Command, sir?" Wright asked. "They've acknowledged our first message but are requesting updates. Tell them we've engaged the Zavari and disabled one of their ships. We're boarding to rescue captives. Request immediate military support." Mason paused. "And send them all our sensor data on the Zavari ships. Earth needs to know what we're facing." 20 minutes later, Mason stood in the Horizon's shuttle bay with the boarding team. They were armed with standard security weapons, stun batons, pistols, and 2 pulse rifles. Not a military arsenal, but it would have to do. Dr. Baker insisted on joining them. "If there are injured colonists, they'll need medical attention," she said firmly. As the team prepared to board the shuttle, Lieutenant Wright's voice came over the comm. "Captain, I've analyzed the Zavari communication patterns. There's something you should know." Go ahead. They're sending coded messages to the other ships. I can't decipher all of it, but they mentioned a collection vessel that's on its way. I think they're stalling until reinforcements arrive. Mason looked at Chief Grant. How quickly can your team secure that ship? 30 minutes, maybe less. If we don't meet resistance, you have 20. Find our people and any information you can about Zavari defenses. We need to be gone before their collection vessel arrives. The shuttle launched from the horizon, crossing the short distance to the disabled Zavari ship. As they approached, Mason could see the damage their railguns had caused. A gaping hole in the engine section, with twisted metal and escaping atmosphere, creating a small cloud of debris. The shuttle pilot located a docking port and carefully aligned their vessel. There was a metallic clunk as the two ships connected. Chief Grant checked his weapon. Ready, sir. Mason nodded, his expression determined. Let's show these aliens what humans from a death world are really capable of. The door slid open, and the boarding party entered the alien ship, taking the first steps in what would soon become humanity's fight for its place among the stars. The SOS that unleashed the unstoppable Deathworlder war fleet. The inside of the Zavari ship was strange to human eyes. The corridors were wider and taller than necessary, with soft blue lighting that seemed to pulse gently. The air was thinner than Earth normal, making Mason and his team breathe a little harder. Stay alert, Chief Grant whispered as they moved forward. We don't know how many crew members are aboard. They encountered the first Zavari just around the corner. Two of the blue-skinned aliens stood nervously, their large eyes widening further at the sight of armed humans. They wore simple gray uniforms with no visible weapons. Where are the human captives? Mason demanded, keeping his pistol aimed at the taller alien. The Zavari looked at each other. Then the shorter one spoke in slightly accented English. This way, in the specimen chamber. Mason nodded to Grant, who detailed 2 security officers to keep their weapons trained on the aliens. Lead us there. Any tricks and this will get very unpleasant for you. The aliens led them through winding corridors, deeper into the ship. Mason noticed that despite their apparent surrender, there was something like curiosity in the way the Zavari kept glancing back at the humans. Why did you attack our colony? Mason asked as they walked. The taller alien answered this time. We did not realize you were a fully sentient species at first. Class 12 death worlds rarely produce advanced civilizations. The environmental pressures usually keep the dominant species at a primitive level. So you just capture and collect less advanced species? Dr. Baker asked, disgust clear in her voice. Study. We study them, the alien corrected. It is our purpose. We are xenobiologists. They arrived at a large circular door. The shorter Zavari pressed its palm to a panel, and the door slid open with a soft hiss. Inside was a vast chamber filled with row after row of transparent pods. Mason felt sick as he saw human bodies floating in some kind of blue liquid inside each pod. At least 100 colonists were there, seemingly asleep or unconscious. Are they alive? He asked Dr. Baker, who was already rushing to the nearest pod with her medical scanner. Yes, she confirmed after a moment. Vital signs are stable. They appear to be in some kind of suspended animation. Mason turned to the Zavari scientists. Release them, now. The taller alien hesitated. The removal process is delicate. If done incorrectly, the specimens, the humans, could suffer cellular damage. Then do it correctly, Mason said coldly. And quickly. While the Zavari began the process of awakening the colonists, Mason instructed some of his team to search the rest of the ship. Find anything that could tell us more about these aliens, their technology, their weaknesses, their plans. Chief. Grant nodded and took 4 officers with him to explore further. Dr. Baker worked alongside the Zavari, monitoring the colonists as they were removed from the pods. They seem unharmed, she reported, confused and disoriented but physically intact. Mason's communicator beeped. It was Samantha Wright from the horizon. Captain, we've intercepted more communications between the Zavari ships. The collection vessel will arrive in approximately 40 minutes. Understood. We're working as fast as we can. Mason turned to the security team. Help Dr. Baker get these people ready for transport. We need to be gone in 30 minutes. The first colonist to fully awaken was a young woman with short brown hair. She blinked in confusion as Dr. Baker helped her sit up. "You're safe now," Baker told her gently. "We're from Earth, the research vessel Horizon." The woman gripped Baker's arm tightly. They said we were valuable because we survived Earth, that our biology was unique." Before Baker could respond, Chief Grant's voice came through Mason's communicator. "Captain, you need to see this. We found their data center." "On my way." "Baker, continue here." Mason followed the directions Grant provided and soon found himself in a room filled with holographic displays and alien computer terminals. Grant pointed to one of the screens where an officer had managed to access the ship's database. "Sir, we found their star charts. The Zavari are just one species in something called the Galactic Council. And look at this." The display showed a map of the galaxy with various colored dots representing different worlds. Earth was marked in bright red with the label Class 12 prohibited. "They've classified Earth as prohibited," Mason said, studying the map. "Yet they still attacked our colony." "Not just that, sir," the officer at the terminal said. "According to these records, the Zavari were specifically instructed not to engage with humans directly. They were supposed to observe only. They disobeyed their own council's directives when they attacked Arcturus IV. Mason frowned. "Why would they risk that?" Grant pointed to another section of data. "Profit, sir. There's a black market for specimens from Deathworlds. The higher the classification, the more valuable the specimens. And Earth is apparently at the top of the scale." A cold anger filled Mason. "Download everything you can. Earth needs to know about this." His communicator beeped again. "Captain," Wright's voice was urgent. "The other two Zavari ships are moving. They're positioning themselves between us and the disabled vessel." Mason looked at Grant. "How many colonists have we freed?" "Dr. Baker reports 43 so far, sir. But there are more than twice that still in pods." Mason made a quick decision. "Tell Baker she has 15 minutes to get as many people out as possible. Then we leave." Back in the specimen chamber, the scene was one of controlled chaos. Awakened colonists were helping others, while Dr. Baker and her team worked frantically to safely remove people from the pods. The Zavari scientists were cooperating, but their movements seemed deliberately slow. "They're stalling," Mason realized. He raised his pistol at the taller alien. "Speed it up, or I'll show you firsthand what makes humans from a death world dangerous." The Zavari's large eyes widened and it immediately began working faster. Within minutes, the process accelerated significantly. Mason's communicator beeped a third time. "Captain," it was Lieutenant Russell this time. "Those two Zavari ships have powered up their weapons, and we're detecting a much larger vessel entering the system. I think it's the collection ship." "Begin evacuation now," Mason ordered. "Get everyone we've freed back to the Horizon." The security team began organizing the awakened colonists, guiding them toward the shuttle. Dr. Baker was reluctant to leave. "The remaining pods, we can't save them all, not now," Mason told her grimly. "But we'll come back for them, I promise." As the last freed colonist boarded the shuttle, Mason turned to the Zavari scientists who had helped them. "Tell your council that humans are not specimens to be collected. We're coming for our people, all of them, and next time we won't come in a research ship." The shuttle detached from the Zavari vessel just as the massive collection ship appeared. In the distance, a dark, ominous shape nearly 10 times the size of the other alien ships. "Full speed back to the Horizon," Mason ordered the pilot, "and prepare for immediate departure from the system." As the shuttle raced back to their ship, Mason looked at the freed colonists, scared, confused, but alive. 87 saved, but hundreds still captured. This wasn't over. In fact, it was just beginning. The shuttle docked with the Horizon, and Mason sprinted to the bridge. "Status report." "The collection vessel is launching smaller ships," Clark reported. "They'll intercept us in minutes if we don't leave now." "All evacuees aboard?" Mason asked. "Yes, sir. All accounted for." Mason took his command chair. "Set course for Earth, maximum speed, and send a priority message to Earth Command. Tell them we've recovered some colonists and vital intelligence about a hostile alien alliance. And tell them—" He paused, looking at the massive alien ship on the screen. "Tell them Earth needs to prepare for war." The horizon turned and accelerated away from Arcturus IV, outrunning the pursuing alien vessels. As the stars stretched into lines of light around them, Mason knew that humanity's peaceful exploration of space had come to an end. But the Zavari and their Galactic Council had made a critical mistake. They thought humans were just interesting specimens from a harsh world. They were about to learn that they had awakened something far more dangerous, a species that had evolved to survive against all odds, a species that never abandoned its own. They had unleashed the Deathworlders of Earth, and humanity was coming for them. The SOS that unleashed the unstoppable Deathworlder war fleet 6 months passed since the Horizon returned to Earth with its rescued colonists and alarming news about the Zavari and the Galactic Council. The response from Earth's governments was swift and unified. For the first time in human history, old rivalries were set aside in the face of an alien threat. Admiral Kate Donovan stood on the bridge of the newly commissioned warship Defiance, the largest and most advanced vessel ever built by human hands. Around her, a fleet of 30 similar ships moved in perfect formation as they prepared to depart Earth orbit. "Status report," she ordered, her gray eyes fixed on the main view screen showing the assembled fleet. "All ships report ready, Admiral," replied Commander Steve Hayes, her executive officer. "The first fleet is prepared for departure." Donovan nodded. In the past 6 months, Earth had transformed. The data recovered from the Zavari ship had provided insights into alien technology that accelerated human development by decades. Ships that would have taken years to build were completed in months. Weapons that had been theoretical became reality. "Open a channel to all ships," she ordered. When Hayes indicated the channel was open, Donovan spoke clearly and firmly. "This is Admiral Donovan to all vessels. Our mission is clear. We will locate and free the human captives taken from Arcturus IV. We will ensure that no other species dares to threaten humanity again. The Zavari and their Galactic Council have mistaken our peaceful exploration for weakness. Today, they learn how wrong they were." She paused, looking around at her bridge crew. Each face showed determination. Captain Mason of the Horizon showed us what a single human ship could do when our people are threatened. Now they will learn what happens when humanity brings its full strength to bear. "First Fleet, prepare for departure." Across the fleet, engines flared to life. The massive ships, each carrying over 1,000 crew members and advanced weapon systems, began to move away from Earth. Standing beside Donovan was Captain Eric Mason himself, now serving as her tactical advisor after his promotion for the actions at Arcturus IV. "Do you think they're ready for us?" he asked quietly. Donovan's lips curved in a slight smile. "No, and that's our advantage." The First Fleet's initial target was a Zavari research station identified in the stolen data. Intelligence suggested human captives were being held there for study. It took the fleet 2 weeks at maximum speed to reach the station's location, in a distant star system. When they arrived, the single Zavari defense ship guarding the station immediately sent panicked messages to the fleet. "They're asking who we are and what we want," reported Communications Officer Linda Kelly. "Send them the message we prepared," Donovan ordered. The message was simple. "We are humanity. We have come for our people. Surrender them immediately, or be destroyed." The Zavari response came quickly. Weapons fire directed at the lead ships of the fleet. "They've made their choice," Donovan said calmly. All ships engaged targets as planned. What followed was not truly a battle. The Zavari defense ship, while advanced by the standards Captain Mason had faced 6 months ago, was no match for the 30 warships Earth had sent. Within minutes it was disabled, its weapons and engines destroyed with surgical precision. "Board them," Donovan ordered. "Find our people." Marine Commander Joe Blackwell led the boarding parties. Unlike Mason's improvised team months earlier, these were trained soldiers equipped with armor and weapons designed specifically for ship-to-ship combat. They encountered minimal resistance. Most of the Zavari surrendered immediately upon seeing the armed humans. Those who fought were quickly subdued. "Admiral," Blackwell reported an hour later, "we've secured the station. We found 212 human captives in stasis. Dr. Lucas reports they're all alive and can be safely revived. A cheer went up on the Defiance's bridge. And the Zavari? Donovan asked. Most surrendered. We have their station commander, in custody. He's eager to cooperate. Donovan exchanged looks with Mason. Bring him to the Defiance. I want to speak with him personally. The Zavari commander was tall for his species, with the elaborate neck collar that seemed to denote rank among them. But as he was brought before Donovan and Mason, he looked small and frightened. You are the leader of this fleet? He asked Donovan. I am Admiral Kate Donovan of Earth's First Fleet. You have taken our people against their will. Where are the rest of them? The alien's large eyes blinked rapidly. Not here, not with us. We are but one research group. Then where? Mason stepped forward, and the alien visibly flinched, recognizing him from the Arcturus incident. The captives were distributed, some to the Paxthi for biological research, others to the Core Dominion for adaptive physiology studies, more to the Galactic Council's central research facility. Donovan's expression hardened. You sold our people to other species? Traded, the Zavari corrected nervously. For research? Access and technology. Deathworld specimens are extremely valuable. Mason had to restrain himself from striking the alien. They are not specimens. They are people. The Zavari commander lowered his gaze. We did not fully understand. You must know the council itself never approved the capture operation. That was our initiative. When they learned what we had done, they were concerned. Concerned about what? Donovan asked. About provoking you. The alien's voice was barely audible now. There are legends about Deathworld species, especially Class 12. The few that have advanced to space travel have been problematic for the Council. Mason and Donovan exchanged surprised looks. You're saying there are other species like us out there? Mason asked. Very few. Most have been contained or directed away from Council space. But the records show they are difficult to control. The Council believed it was safer to observe humans from a distance. Donovan leaned forward. And now? The Zavari looked up at her. Now you have proven the legends true. You disabled one of our ships with a research vessel. You built a war fleet in months. You came straight to this facility despite it being hidden. The Council will be afraid. Donovan stood straight. Good. Fear will keep them from making the same mistake twice. Now, you're going to give us the locations of every human captive and the defenses we can expect at each facility. The next 3 months saw the First Fleet moving systematically through Council space. At each location, the pattern was similar. The Earth ships would arrive, demand the return of human captives, and then take them by force if necessary. Word spread quickly across the galactic communication networks about the human war fleet. Many facilities surrendered without firing a shot, returning their human specimens and begging for mercy. At the Paxthi research world, the aliens attempted to fight. Their defense fleet was larger than the Zavaris with more advanced weapons. The battle lasted nearly an hour, but the outcome was never in doubt. The First Fleet destroyed their orbital defenses and threatened planetary bombardment if the human captives weren't released immediately. The Paxthi surrendered within minutes of the threat. By the time the fleet reached the Galactic Council's central research facility, no resistance was offered at all. The final group of human captives was handed over with formal apologies and offers of reparations. 4 months after leaving Earth, the Defiance led the First Fleet back to the Galactic Council's capital world. This time they came not to rescue captives but to establish humanity's place in the galactic community. Admiral Donovan, Captain Mason, and a small delegation of Earth's leaders stood in the grand chamber of the Council. Before them were representatives of 22 spacefaring species, most looking at the humans with a mixture of fear and curiosity. The supreme arbiter of the Council, a tall, willowy being with translucent skin, addressed them. Humanity has demonstrated its resolve most effectively. The Council acknowledges its failure to prevent the unjust actions taken against your species. We are prepared to make amends. President Laura Chen of Earth stepped forward. We came to space in peace, seeking knowledge and friendship. Instead, our people were taken and treated as specimens. This cannot happen again. It will not, the Arbiter promised. The Council formally recognizes Earth as a sovereign power, with all rights and protections therein. We offer reparations for the harm done and a seat on the Council itself. A murmur ran through the chamber at this unprecedented offer. President Chen smiled slightly. We accept, with one additional condition. The classification system that labels worlds like Earth as death worlds and their inhabitants as specimens for study must end. All sentient species deserve respect, regardless of their planet of origin. As the agreement was formalized, Captain Mason stood at the back of the human delegation, watching history unfold. From a desperate distress call at Arcturus IV to humanity taking its place among the stars, all in less than a year. The Zavari had unleashed something they never expected when they attacked that small colony. Not just a fleet of warships, but humanity's unbreakable determination to protect its own and forge its destiny among the stars. The Deathworlders of Earth had arrived on the galactic stage, and they were here to stay.